Hi everyone, this is Chris Lafleur. We're back in the tasting room and we are tasting a Malbec. This is the Lot 831 2020 Malbec from Mendoza. This is a beautiful wine. Let's talk a little bit about this. So when we gauge Malbec, one of the ways that you can detect if it's a really high quality one is how dark it is. And that has to do with the altitude, especially in Mendoza. So the higher in altitude you get, and I apologize, I'm Canadian, so I have to use Celsius and metric. The higher in altitude you get, every 100 meters, you lose 1 degree Celsius on the overall temperature for the region, which means that what could be a kind of like a hot region becomes a more moderate one. Now, a better way of detecting that, especially from looking at the wine, is actually to see what color the grape is. Now, it might not be really high to us in the grand scale of like the planet Earth, but when you go up even 100 meters, it makes a difference to the grape. Now, the way this shows itself is that the grape has to protect the seed, and it does that by darkening the skin a little bit to stop some of the UV light from making its way through. And you can see this is pretty dark. So if you hold your hand underneath of it and look through the top, the less of your hand you can see, the more opaque you would say that is, and this is definitely opaque. So let's see how that translates to the nose. For me, that shows as a really nice ripe fruit. We've got some blackberries, we've got the usual suspects for Malbec: blackberry, blackcurrant, blueberry, a little violet and jumping jack, but also a little hint of chocolate here, particularly dark chocolate, some cacao. I'm also getting a little note of baking spice. So I think this spends a little time in French oak, and that's gonna translate to giving you a little bit of vanilla and a touch of like cinnamon or nutmeg. So really elegant, really well balanced, and overall kind of powerful. Let's taste it and see how it translates. So that's pretty great. We have a dark concentration of fruit again. It feels kind of chewy on the palate, like you're really crunching a lot of blackberries. And it also feels like the tannins are sliding alongside that, like on my tongue. They're not aggressive, they're not chunky, they're not coarse, and they're not sandy either, but they're present and they're in the middle, and that means that they're gonna be pretty suitable for pairing with a lot of different things. If you wanna make something that's really heavy in your dish, feel less aggressive, like maybe the fat cap on a ribeye or a strip loin, this is a great wine to put alongside it. You also still have great acidity. Like the fruit feels like I'm getting those nice ripe blueberries and the way they feel on the palate, really fresh. So the acidity is still present here, and that comes from the altitude. So excellent quality wine. Now, where does this fit in your cellar? I think that this is a great everyday drinking wine. It has a richness for people that want something a little stronger, but also a complexity for something that you want to show off at dinner. And if you're looking at Malbec in your local liquor store, you might find that value for dollar, it's a little bit sketchy on what you're gonna get, but in the Cameron Hughes store, you can definitely find this one, and you can get this for a remarkable price point compared to what you see on the shelves. This is something to have every day. This is something to get a case of. This is something that you could even lie down for a year. So think about that when you're purchasing next time. And with that, I will see you at the next class.